Организаторы, подскажите нам, пожалуйста, мы можем начинать или мы ждем? Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги.
Good day, dear colleagues. Let us begin this session as a part of the International Business Week. Trans-Logistics Center, Overland Port, Conceptual Solution. We have a very august team. Mr. Girev, head of the representative of the Republic of Bashkortostan, Power Trans Container on Kuybyshev Railroad, Ms. Akhmadieva Olga, the head of the multimodal department of Transterminal, Artur Shainurov, Vice President of the Association of Importers of Fruit and Vegetable Products, and we will have three people online: Mr. Mishanin Vadim, Director of the Strategic Projects Directorate of the Eurasian Development Bank, Vladimir Pribyshin, Director of Strategy and Development of Dela Management Company LLC, and Andrei Zhushkov, Head of Kuybyshev Directorate for Terminal and Warehouse Facility Management. My name is Inna Narikova. I'm the head of Center for Sectorial Economic of the Federal States Budgetary Institution, Financial Research Institute of the Ministry of Finances of the Russian Federation. And I would like to tell you a little bit about what we see when we say the overland warehouse and port, so where we are going and what solutions are needed here and now in order to say the following. Indeed, the government of Bashkortostan is implementing lots of projects in the logistics sector. I have been working with the Republic for more than 10 years, and our institute are the heads of the distribution centers in the Republic, and we also provided the services to develop the Eurasian network for Eurasian Bank, and all of these areas regarding logistics are constantly changing their names, abbreviations and acronyms. However, they are not changing their nature. I would like to say right away that in general, in the government, we have the draft legislation on international territories of exceeding development, which can be international and trans-border in their nature. Today we can accentuate the following. We have been participating in the same session last year, so we have been talking about the distribution, and we had experts from logistics 5 years ago, 8 years ago, etc. But however, we have to look at the neighboring regions. For example, Tatarstan, Yelabuga is already building such logistics center as a part of industrial park. Yekaterinburg is building the same project. So the logistics park is announced in Krasnoyarsk region. Fininvest is building the same ports in the subjects of the Russian Federation. And of course, the project which has been approved in 2020, when we're talking about Transport and Logistics Center, is containing more than 19 such warehouses with huge capacities. And the question to everybody today will be, how does Republic Bashkortostan see the development of the transport logistics potential through constructing such centers and warehouses? And I hope that we will have a very lively discussion to speak about this. And I would like to ask the first speaker to answer this. What Republic of Bashkortostan expect from creation of such logistics center in the region? Mr. Gilev, could you please tell us what would you say as the representative of the government of the Republic? Thank you very much, dear colleagues. What I would like to say. Before we start discussing this, let us take a look at what Republic is, if we take a look at it from the point of view of transport. In short, first of all, we are located on the border between Europe and Asia. Ufa and its territory is located on the intersection of the pipeline, water and vehicle highways. We are linked to Siberia with the Middle Asia, to Central Asia, and China. So we are a transit territory with developed infrastructure. Here we have Trans-Siberian Highway, Trans-Siberian Railway, and we know that since the times of the Empire, we had them longitudinally built. And this railway is going through Yanaul, and the central one is going through Ufa. Waterways. We have entrances to different seas, Caspian, Black, etc., through Bela, Volga, Kama, and we have M5 highway and M20 to Orenburg. The second place is taken by the overall length of the highways in Russia. We have most lengthy network of roads in the Volga region. We have airports. It was 1.5 million passengers back in the day in the Soviet times, and now it's much more, 5 more. We have Trans-Aero terminal, which is processing goods only. 4 million passengers per year, etc. Railroads, more than 3,000 kilometers on our territory, through the territory of our republic. We have 3 railroads going. Kuybyshev, which goes through Ufa and middle parts, Gorkov, through Yanaul, and South Ural, which is linked to us through Belaretsk and goes through Mursalinka, another residential area in our republic. All in all, more than 80 railroad stations, and 35 of them are open to goods transportation. There are container platforms which can process the goods and conclude the relevant contracts. What I would like to highlight in regards to this matter, the existing transport potential is capable of fully providing for logistics center of any level. If we're talking about Ufa, we're going to have 4 PL providers organized here. You can have basically 4 types of logistics providers here. And everything is located around the city of Ufa. What else? The development of the system on the territory of the Republic. What is beneficial to organize this logistics center? Providing the reduction of the forced idle time for cars. If you remember the Soviet times, you remember what the mixed cargo is. When a driver is taking a truck empty, they would be fined by the police. And this is an important matter, so creation of such logistics center is very important. Railroad transport, the system has changed. Recently, only the Russian railroads had those things, and now they have only infrastructure and the locomotives. And all the cars, railway cars, are private. This reduces the transportation of empty cars. Thus, the taxation goes to the government from that. Another important matter when optimizing all the types of transportation, when big batches are delivered by railroad, and only then transported by cars. You can imagine right now, so somebody wants to have 5 kilos taken from Moscow to Ufa, and this is actually polluting the environment. And such logistics centers are the factors to protect the environment as well. We have to consider that all. From the point of view of ministry, of the state, I would like to say that when we are looking at this whole matter, we have to look at the whole complex, at a bigger picture. We're talking about education, we're talking about staff, employment, ecology, environment, transport, everything. The creation of system controlling the transportation streams is very important. The more grouped the types of transport are, the better they are dispatched, the better they are supervised and controlled. It is much better from the point of view of ecology, environment, and economy. And another important point, to sum up, the entrepreneurs and those who are doing this business start performing these tasks together with the state. I would like to speak about the state-private partnership. Why is it so important? When a person is doing it on its own, and on the other hand, when they are doing it together with the state, they have guarantees. These two types of work are absolutely different. In short, what you highlighted is the state program of Ministry of Transport of Russia finally started working again. And the logistics centers have been confirmed already. And the way I recall it, I'm deviating from what I have written here, but I would like to highlight it. So we stopped at the agreement stage. That was the stage that was the last on employment of this program. When we are talking about the work of the Ministry of Transport. As an operator from Republic of Bashkortostan, Okaprom was the company which was responsible for that. This is the Transport Agricultural Logistics Center, which finishes the project work and starts the next stage. So it went through the expertise, and all in all, the location will be near Kronoshpan in the region of station Shaksha. In short, that's it. The whole idea itself, to sum up, brings lots of opportunities from the point of view of state, starting with ecology, environment, down to economy, to solve the socially required matters, is solved like this. That's it. Thank you very much, Oleg Borisovich. Thank you very much. The question which is asked quite often is the competition between types of transportation. What is more advantageous for business? And the second problem is, so it doesn't matter how we call this is the logistics or the storage or whatever. The question is always, we see beautiful pictures, we see beautiful text, and the question is, where's the structure of the product streams which are going to be moving? So where is the food products, non-food products, how many dry land and temperature modes, etc. Agricultural logistics is very important here. 90% of projects have decided not to implement their project because of these things, because in most of the cases there are no consolidations of the product batches, and refrigerators are filled in, and even AgroExpress, which we have, it's still not working fully, is not supporting everybody as it should. And we have to understand this problem. That is why I have this question to the multimodal logistics operator questions and transport logistics. How do the operators see whether it's actually viable to create those logistics centers in Bashkortostan, considering the forecast? Let us begin with you, Nikolai, Director of Transcontainer on Kuybyshev Railroad.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Please show my slides. I want to speak about the development of logistics infrastructure of Bashkir region as part of Eurasian transport corridors. I would like to begin with the presentation of our company. I represent Transcontainer Company, which is the hugest container producer in the Russian Federation. We have more than 140,000 containers. We have a chain of container terminals almost everywhere in Russia, and they are provided with certain equipment, necessary equipment. So as you can see, the geography is huge, and we are almost in all regions of Russia. We have 88 offices, sales offices. We are a part of a group of company Dela since 2019, and this group of companies has the port operator Dela Ports, which has port infrastructure in Novorossiysk and some other terminals. There is also Global Ports company that has ports in St. Petersburg, free container terminals in different regions. So the main accent of the company is Russia, and there are some more companies included in this group of companies that have 13 marine facilities. In last years, the perspectives are growing concerning the container carriage in Russia. So the growth is more than 10% per year. In 2023, we considered the forecast was 3%, but it's going to be more than 14%. So if we continue like that, by 2035, we will reach 3.5 million rubles. Our company is developing current containers, and we are planning to enrich the amount of containers. And how do we do that? We are planning to construct certain container terminals on Far East and in Vladivostok, in Primorsky region, Nakhodka station. We are also considering the Moscow transport unit, Usada and Chekhov. We are planning the construction in Yekaterinburg city and in Kemerovsky region. Despite that, we are planning to develop those that are already created, those terminals that we already have, such as Batareina in Irkutsk and Chernikovka in the Republic of Bashkortostan and Ufa. Considering the potential of the Republic of Bashkortostan, it is on the same level as other regions, and we are developing container carriage in this region. We provide the carriage on in Neftekamsk, Oktyabrski, Ufa, Steltermak, and Salovat. And if we consider the growth of container flow in 9 months of 2022, the sending was 16%, and now it's higher on 23%. So if we are taking a look at our terminal in Ufa, the total scope in 2022 2022 was 16%, and we are forecasting the growth in 53%. So we can track the necessity of development of container system, and we are planning to develop and improve this terminal in Ufa. And last year we've started it. So the company invested into this development around 277 million rubles. And as the result, we will receive the 60% growth in development, and currently we are sending up to 10 containers per month. There are many producers that are using these containers. So on arrival, we have 3 container trains with equipment for Eurocar. We also use Ufa terminal for fire plant products and other industrial companies of the Republic of Bashkortostan. And we see a huge potential in development of local industrial companies. We see the growth in oil and gas industry, Bashkir Soda Company and Sibur Holding Company. We can see agriculture growth and serious growth. The infrastructure is just one reason that is stopping the region. And also other industrial companies and enterprises are growing. So answering your question, I want to say that the demand on more logistics solutions is necessary. Thank you very much. And what is stopping the development? Are those refrigerators or something else? No, currently, if we are taking a look at logistics, the problem is not in the refrigerators. The products that we are sending do not require any special temperature. So what type of infrastructure is stopping the region? All in all, the railroad infrastructure. We often don't have the opportunity to send products, and we don't have the possibility to send products with those equipment, with the equipment that we have. So it's not a secret that the East platform is full, and there are certain difficulties with logistics there, but we are trying to find new solutions, using new ports for export to China. So transport limits connected, yes, transport limits. Concerning logistics infrastructure in Bashkortostan, as you said, there is no infrastructure for refrigerator limits, and I think the region is quite big and the population is big, and there is a possibility to develop this section. This is possible to provide refrigerator trains here. Yes, that's right, because the first transportation center since 2014 that started working with fish. Today they work on customs with Chinese cars. So, Olga Akhmadieva, could you please explain what do you think about the development of Bashkortostan region in logistics?
Good day, dear colleagues. I would like to represent our company. This is the limited liability company TransTerminal. The company was founded in year 2000, and as of now, the main area of activity of our company is providing services on external economic activity. We are also providing services on design, construction, warehouse logistics, customs clearance, the customs transportation with any possible type of transport. TransTerminal is a group of companies. It has a huge infrastructure. It has material and technical base. It has warehouse terminals. And it has its own park of construction transport, all in all.
Организаторы, поставьте презентацию.
Could you please switch on the presentation? Okay, let me see it. Good. Yeah, here is the presentation. TransTerminal is also a member of a self-regulated group of construction with obligations across its contracts more than 10 billion rubles. And now we are assisting building enterprise of the Volga Federal region. The main activities are here, what we are doing starting from 2000. Customs clearance and warehouse logistics. We do the customs clearance for exported goods, for imported goods. We are accounting for the products in our own complexes. The next area is transportation. We are organizers of transportation using our own equipment as well as equipment of our partners, the forwarders. We're talking about international transportation and regional. Another type of activity is transporting oversized goods. We have a special department which designs the routes, etc. We are transporting all types of heavy weight and oversized goods. Also, we are doing the industrial design. The subsidiary company has the Bureau of Design and Architecture, which participates in different projects, including the construction projects, constructing the oil and gas complex. TransTerminal has done the following. It received the license of customs representative in 2001. As of now, you can see this document. We do the consultation on customs clearance. We are processing lots of different types of cargoes. We have digital document flow with customs bodies. TransTerminal is customs representatives, which has licenses for temporary storage warehouses. You can see them on the Chernikovka station and in the international airport Ufa. The main area is transportation, of course. Here you can see more details. And I would like to draw your attention to the following. We have authorization. Almost all the cars and trucks are authorized to transport the hazardous goods, DAPOG. These are main projects that we performed on transportation of oversized cargoes. One of the most interesting projects is the plant producing acrylates in Akryl Salawat and we delivered goods from 45 countries of the world. We cleared all the transport. Speaking about the sizes, the reactors were the biggest one and the heaviest one, 8.5 meters in diameter and 220 kilos of weight. Regenerator for Bashneft. Here we delivered the goods, which was as high as 14.5 meters and 12 meters in its height. It's almost 5-story building. We prepared the whole infrastructure, so all the electric lines, etc. So everything was done there. It was very interesting and quite special. As I've already said, we do the construction. One of the most interesting projects where we are working now is Transterminal is the main constructor of M-Synthas, Titan increasing additive to the oils. So this is located in the Alga zone, and Transterminal is the main contractor, and we are doing the transportation and customs clearing. The group of companies is consisting of Bashkir Construction Company, the construction base, Shakshaka service, where we can repair our machines. We're trying to do everything ourselves, but of course sometimes we have to use the services as well. Another interesting area is, which started in 2015, we have opened Transterminal Aero in the international airport of Ufa. Transterminal Aero is processing all the goods. We also do the customs clearance, and they have the license for the temporary storage, which is located on the territory of the airport, and it has deliveries. So, and there is a special room for storage of the weapons. There were special deliveries like that, and we constructed special room which is located near the warehouse for temporary storage. We all know what sanctions are. So since our enterprise has its own fleet, usually these are Scan, MAN, Volvo, etc. So, and the dealers left, and all of a sudden we faced the problems with spare parts, all the technical liquids, etc. All of that disappears, and Dimash company was created. It's deciphered as details of machines, the machine parts, and it does parallel import, providing us with all the spare parts which are needed, and all the technical liquids. What else I would like to say is, speaking about the dry logistics port, how are we linked to it? We are directly linked to it. As of now, just like Tchaikovsky logistics port, the dry port is located in Chernikovka station. We have all the types of operations except for water transport. I've already spoken about the air transportation, Transterminal Aero, which is located in our airport not far from here, and the yard of the Chernikovka is distributed in different types of park. For example, the A park, which consists of 8 railroad tracks. Each track can include 71 railway cars. B park is the sorting park. It has 7 railway tracks, and it can contain 50 railway cars. Then the container platforms with 7 railway tracks, 6 up to 25 containers. Number 4, the warehouse yard with 4 tracks for 70 railway cars. Also, there are container platforms on the station which can contain about 600 containers. 20 feet, 40 feet, etc. So yes, we are partners with Transcontainer, and on a monthly basis, so it goes to the east, of course, Eastern Asia, about 10, 12 container trains are going there. We accept them, we process them, and send further on. Chernikovka, in our region, is a full-fledged dry port. The only thing which is missing, if we're talking about it, we don't have the water transport. This is a problem for the Republic, the water transport. Transterminal has been working with water transport within these projects on oversized equipment because you cannot transport those things without the water, so it's too far. And you cannot strengthen all the bridges, reinforce all the bridges, so we had to take the route however we could. So speaking about the ship transportation, so speaking about the western areas, Salavat, Sterlitamak, etc. So you can get there to Melkombinat only. Then ro-ro method is used to transport goods by specialized machines, and down to Salavat we went throughout 153 kilometers. We had to reinforce the bridges, all the different parts of the road, etc. When we had working with Bashneft, we had to go to northern bus station. So we were building parallel roads, we dug under the goods to transport those things. So, and the sea transport, the river transport was used like that. But recently, lately, there is not enough water in the river. So we don't have full understanding of the dry ports, and we don't have access to the water transport. Of course, they are saying that the ministry is saying that everything will be fine, and that during the latest 5 years they've decided to clear out the routes of the river in order to open the routes. But right now you can see that there is a bridge, there is an island actually near the Salavat monument, and basically we can see the problems, and the government has to take measures. It's important because all the equipment has to modernize. Everything is old. We do understand that is very big, and we need to use the river however we can. As of now, I would like to highlight the Republic is basically the dry port is Chernikovka and Trans-Terminal Aero. So you can see the main partners here, our clients. We're working with all the enterprises, Republican and others. The only way you can do good job, you have to love what you are doing. Welcome, Trans-Terminal.
Удобный вопрос, но, может быть, если вы не сможете ответить, это, конечно, специалистам к руководству.
This is going to be an uncomfortable question, but I have to ask it. I can see that you are a very vivid representative, but do you get the federal support and regional support? And are you participating in the system of state procurement, or all the clients are private? Well, we tried to participate in the state procurement system, but once again, this was back in the day, actually. So yes, we were working with tenders, with bidding, and we had our own transport used for that. We have a special department which is doing this. Yes, they are looking for the tenders, for biddings, and we are going through those things. But once again, it was there. But measures of support, yes, we are planning, we are hoping. But once again, whenever we go to those, to search for those, at least while I was working there, unfortunately, we never suited for that. But what is interesting, actually, here, the state support measures. Maybe somebody will hear me out here. Trans-Terminal. I already said that we are doing construction. And we have a platform. 18 hectares of land in Shaksha. They were not used before, and about 6 years ago. And we do understand that there are warehouses. The trucks are there, and the Sigma warehouses are there. Kronspahn, Ruskam, everybody is there. They are waiting there, and there was agreement with the administration, and Trans-Terminal decided to invest into this project. We built a truck stop. About 70 trucks can be located there. Maybe you have been there to that place. 4 hectares of asphalted land, automated checkpoints and everything. So we have administrative building there with canteen. It works from 7 to 7. We have the laundries, we have the bathrooms, etc. So everybody knows about it. We have agreements with the road networks, and basically you can eat there, you can wash there, etc. So everything is very successful when we're talking about the location. It is 4.5 kilometers from the federal highway. We went to the government. It's a service on the road. Even the trucks which are coming to the customs and between us and Shaksha and 13 kilometers of distance. And of course, people are coming to us and they tell us how comfortable everything is, and we like it a lot. And they're saying that this is one of the best of European stations for trucks. I believe that this is efficient service indeed. We asked the government to help us, but since we are not on the road, we are not supported. Thank you very much for your answer. Maybe somebody will hear you. We did hear you. We will think about it. Thank you very much. So the dry port Tchaikovsky, it's an existing project, container terminal, which is delivering container trains for exports, and you are forming the full-fledged logistics center. Could you share your experience? What we have to consider when we are constructing such complexes?
Good afternoon, dear participants of the forum. My name is Andrei Darchov. I'm the head of the enterprise which is developing an interesting sphere, the Transportation and Logistics Center, Tchaikovsky. Our terminal is is connected with this city, Tchaikovsky, in Perm Krai. It is bordering the Bashkortostan, and the cargoes were sent for export to China from that Tchaikovsky terminal. So transport infrastructure of high quality is the base of modern economy. And when the infrastructure also has free lands where we can develop, where we could develop certain advanced economy development territories or centers of some industrial development, industrial clusters, then we would have the driver of development in the region. So forming these multimodal logistics centers allows us not just connect the transport arteries of our country, but also going for export. As my colleagues said before, from Transcontainer Company, the process of using containers is growing in our country, and I think that we have a great potential in container industry, and transport and logistics centers are more like depend more on container transportation, because close destinations are not beneficial, but when we use containers for far regions of Russia, it is very convenient. For small and medium-sized businesses, the possibility to export or to transfer carriages from transportation and logistics centers that there are where we have some public services and the schedule each the representative of these small and medium businesses, they can provide their container for export to this center, and it increases the opportunity of development for small and medium-sized businesses. So the organizers asked me to share my experience of construction of Overland port Tchaikovsky, and to share some ideas and peculiarities Maybe someone will be interested in development and construction of some infrastructure, and to speak of some peculiarities that will allow you to avoid some mistakes and to not lose money and to develop in this business. So the factors that are important in development that you should consider while construction. The first is cargo base. Cargo base should be considered as the directions and the amounts of products there, and you should think of not only the existing events, as many analytics do. They take the data from railroad stations and they consider the possibilities using these data. Here, we think that it is necessary to use another approach. As I mentioned, as I heard yesterday on another session, one of my colleagues said that the phrase of Inagretsky about how do you succeed in hockey, and he said, "I'm going not in the flow of puck, but I'm going to the direction where it goes." And I really like this phrase because this allows us to foresee the future of transportation logistics center. It means that it is a better approach, and it requires visits to some centers to communicate with other parties, to visit enterprises, to look at their demands, to look at the amount of products, where the directions, the position, the possibility of export, import flow, and only then you can understand what do you need and where do you need to do this. Of course, enterprises, while talking about their issues and problems, they allow us to understand if they need this center. So, for example, when a company doesn't have a lot of product to sell, to send, they don't need such centers. They can use just the usual ways of logistics, the transportation. But when the enterprise would never join such center and use such center. So first thing that you should do is to consider long destination transportation, considering big amount of products. And one more thing that is important while choosing the place, the opportunities of development, is the railroad infrastructure. You should choose the place near the station, up to 3 kilometers, and you should realize what products, how many products will you have there on this station, and you should talk to railroad authorities to cooperate, to mix the demands, to see the opportunities, to see the possibility of transportation from this station. And it's important to to talk to them in advance, and to take a look at the conditions of the station and to discuss it with the authorities. It is the second of importance. It is also necessary to assess the highways, the roads, because we all understand that the traffic is the obstacle that can lead to many expenses, and it is important to choose the place for the center near the roads of good quality. That's why it is necessary to assess the roads. Despite that, there should be reserved power supply. At first, you may not need that much of power, but when developing, you may consider that you need more, and you should consider it in advance too, because while developing, you may require more places, more room for storage, and you may require more power and water supply and gas. It is an important factor that you should consider in advance, and to take a look at this sphere on the site. And all this is connected to economy, and since our project was prepared through a private budget, we are always considering the economy. So the next thing is get acquainted with other terminals. It is an important thing to do. We started with that, despite the fact that it is the fifth criteria that I'm talking about. We just wanted to see how our colleagues overcame the issues that we faced. It is the experience that you can that allows you to lower your expenses, and you can get answers to the questions that you haven't considered, and with time it will give you fruitful understanding and the opportunity to avoid mistakes and additional expenses, and to see the options. And also you should visit exhibitions, Trans-Russia, for example, other forums, conferences. We participate in that Container Me exhibition. It enriches your network, and these people that you are talking to, that you are meeting there, you start cooperating with them. After that, and when you found a place for construction, one of the first things you should realize, you should see, for example, container platform is a very busy territory, and if there would be some issues with the land or with the soil, you will always have problems with there will be some dangers, and it may cost a lot of money for you. So provide geological research before construction. So if you found the land, then you should take a look at these things before design, and you should find the solutions and communicate with custom services and authorities so that to place this center correctly, customs clearance center and storage, so that when you need it in the future, you won't have to find more space for that. So I think this is it. I would like to invite you from those from industrial industry to visit our terminal, to use it, where we can deliver to the north of the Republic of Bashkortostan, and we help many companies to send their products to different countries. If you have any questions, I will be ready to answer. Thank you very much. You've spoken a lot, and your speech was really productive. And I should remind you that when in 2014 we had a program of distribution centers, why the concept failed. So one of the projects, there was a mistake in roads, and this company is now bankrupt, and the other company promised to construct 30 facilities in Russia, and after constructing just one, they are facing economic problems. And the main thing, the first mistake, is that cargo base. I often visit governors with investors, and usually investors decline these suggestions, and they rearrange the project completely. So the figures and the statistics doesn't reflect the reality sometimes. And so we just need to consider different, we should see it in practice. And not any authority doesn't have interregional flows. And no statistics can provide us with the necessary information. We should choose it by ourselves. We should see it. We should see the flows by ourselves, and we should visit the places. And when we see this consolidation of flows, the first thing you do is the cargo base. You should consider it. And then the next thing, what do we deliver, and how do we deliver it? So the next speaker, we have a question for you. So we saw how the logistics changed. We see the changes towards the South Urals and Siberia, as we see that the south goes to customs clearance to the north. We see a lot of import from Uzbekistan. Have you assessed and what requirements do partners provide for transportation logistics centers? And as we see a lot of changes in Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and other countries, and we see the initiatives of there to enter the Russian market. So what do you think?
Thank you very much for your question. Thank you for inviting me in general here. It's my pleasure to be here. Since I am in a circle of experts, those dedicate their lives and efforts to serve the logistics area, I would like to think a little bit broader to answer your question. So what are the demands? All I can say in short: availability, security, safety, quality. But behind these short characteristics, we can see a huge knot of problems. I listened to wonderful colleagues. Transcontainer, trans-terminal, everything sounds really pleasant, everything is good. Praise to you that you exist. You are showing the dynamics of development. However, they haven't mentioned any problems. And the problems in the industry are in abundance. I have prepared lots of numbers across the industries, in different areas, geographies. But let me not bore you with these statistics, but to draw at least some indicators linked to external trade, starting with year 2023, when Federal Customs Service announced that they're going to increase the fees by 8%. It was done in the anti-sanction policies, and so the statistics were classified. These numbers are fresh as of now. They have been published, and they are as follows. $530 billion is the turnover of external trade of Russia from January to October, which is 16% less compared to year 2022. There were 629 billion USD, 10% lower than year 2021. Coming back to structure, export, 316 billion, which got lower by 29%, and then 18% increase on imports. But the corrections are not big, but let me show you the next one. So we started trading with Asian countries, which get about 70% of the whole product turnover. So it's China, India. Export to Asia grew by 10%, 250 million. And import to Russia is 139 billion. The increase by 40%. We can see the transformation of all of our transport corridors. The exports to Europe dropped 216 billion to 65 billion. This is 70%, the decline of European Union to get the products from Russia. Import dropped as well. So to conclude, as of now, the income of the budget from imports are more than the export ones. And the thing was different in 2021. So once again, this is the budget of the Russian Federation in 10 months. And the customs fees are 5.3 billion rubles. Speaking of structure, we cannot say that we are really successful when we're speaking about import substitution, and we have a lot of work carved out for us. But speaking about the whole situation in the economy, yes, it's quite obvious that transport, logistics have always been the barometer of our economy. Speaking about what is happening in the logistics right now, I'd like to say that this is one of the main areas which transforms tremendously, changed tremendously, and shifted the main product flows, goods, streams. And this is a trend to continue. That is why this notion, Transport Logistics Center, came into my view in 2010 when the Federal Taxation Service announced the concept of processing the products closer to the borders. Northwestern parts of Russia, which consolidated imports and exports, became the key region which had all of those logistics. And then they constructed those customs offices on the borders. And about 3 or 4 logistics centers would appear on the borders. But the situation didn't prove to be correct because the conceptual decisions were aiming at the customs clearance inside the country should be transported to the transition points. But it didn't occur. That is why the strategic problem is that the state left them on their own. So how to build a business if these streams would actually go bypassing them? And we do understand that northwestern border, seeing what is happening there, on an annual basis starting from 2014 and 22-23 have been the key ones. So the volume of the goods transportation dropped significantly, tremendously. So Tarfyanovka, on the Finnish side, we have more than 200 transportation vehicles which cannot go through the border. Ivangorod, more than 100 vehicles are on Estonian sides, and we can see how the policy is influencing the processes linked to the transport and logistics streams. That is why the industry has great risks. That is why we do understand what resources and opportunities have to be in the hands of the operators in order to start such a risky business. Now that the northwestern border is almost inaccessible, we have to say the obvious. The government of the Russian Federation is redirecting these streams to southern borders and far eastern borders. Of course, another transformation will occur, but we are facing serious problems due to construction of new logistics infrastructure or port infrastructure or some local construction. Today we are facing a very serious problem demonstrated by the Russian railroads. Eastern Polygon is a bottleneck which cannot provide for the demand which comes after such redistribution, after such transformation. That is why we had a very soft comment on the complications on what is coming to them. I guess that this demand and the offer is 1 to 5. So business has a greater chance to receive those goods on the platforms. That is why we have to say the following. It's a whole knot of problems, and we have to solve it somehow on the level of the state. Some governmental commission, which actually exists right now, led by Mr. Belousov, and seeing how it all happens, we can see that there are developments. The Directorate of the Transport Corridors is led by our compatriot Alexander Isayev. They formed the new points of growth for the transport industry. These are the corridors north-south and the eastern polygon. But I can see how the whole bureaucracy and red tape is working. And I would say that in these 60 days, 60 weeks of the special military operation, we managed to formulate it somehow, in paper and in digital. But there is no movement whatsoever. Nothing to enable business to plan and project their business plans into the future. On Wednesday, I was present in the Ministry of Far East. I represented Tamarik's group of company, which is designing 2 logistics centers in Baikal region on Federal Highway Amur and another one a little bit further from there. And we can see how the regional government is interested in creating this platform. This is the advanced development territories. So this is a chance to use those new eastern gates. But the decisions are very rigid, and they postpone and delay the development. We do understand the capabilities of our investors are limited, and if we cannot use these mechanisms and tools of the state support, we should understand that the business doesn't have unlimited resource. Seeing how Mr. Trutnev, representative of the president, being behind Baikal, how he sees the situation, and how he views the measures taken to build the new railroad track, he reports that it's not even on design track. Rosgranice had a goal to renovate the transition points of Zabaikalsk, but they didn't finish design yet, either. In Soviet times, we could construct whole plants in 2 months. 60 weeks have passed, and we haven't even come to getting the authorization from the expertise office to create these new corridors, gates, and transfer points, which are vital to business as of now. Okay, I can see that you are looking at me as if I'm over my time. Okay, so the interest rate is too high, and the loans are impossible to build the infrastructure, which costs billions, dozens of billions. This is a project which returns investments in 30 years, 40 years. If the loan is going to be about 20% of loans, so then this project is going to simply waste money. So we saw it in the 20s. Synchronization with other industries, another thing. Water transport has to provide for the capability to use the rivers. Aviation, as of now, it's risky as well. So when we're talking about these serious points that could be used to work with different points or different types of transport, this is the infrastructure which is vital. 3 key words: availability. We cannot make those services so that the participants of the business would go through the process of transportation, which would actually make them lose their money. They have to sell their products. This is something which requires serious discussions. And only through the governmental co-financing and development of several programs, separate programs, to construct such facilities, we can solve this problem. Thank you very much indeed. This is a very good point of yours. We have been speaking about this for 5 years. We were talking about the cargo aviation which exists in the world, but we don't have it in the Russian Federation. And I've been reiterating it on and on. The government has to support this. And maybe we wouldn't have these problems if it was developed so far. The second point is what you're saying is indeed goes around the prices of finances, the sources of money. But in the conditions of the limits of the budget, the trans-logistics centers, the way we see it, are commercial, first of all. But indeed, considering that they have to be developed, I believe that your suggestion will be considered. Everything is very proper and right. But I would like to go back to Eurasian Bank of Development, to Mr. Mishanin. For 10 years, the central bank came to us and other sources came to us, and we do not have numbers. How much modern storage we have, what types, etc. 10 years ago, we had a number. 30% is the modern warehouses, AA plus warehouses. And when we assessed the infrastructure for Eurasian Bank of the EAU countries plus Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, the number didn't change much, 40-45. And when we are asking the regions what infrastructure you have and where the data is incompatible. Almost none has information. And Mr. Mishanin will tell us about Eurasian Transport Carcass, because this is the mega project of the bank, and the Eurasian Bank of Development is the institute which finances such projects. And Mr. Mishanin, are you with us?
Да.
Could you please switch on? Okay, we can see you on the screen. Good, we can hear you well. Thank you for your question. It's my pleasure to participate here.
So now I will try to show my slides. And while it's loading, I wanted to say a few words about our bank, that indeed we are not just commercial bank, but the Institute of Development of International Organization with the UN status. And we have shareholders from several countries. Could you please say if you can see my slides? Yes, we can. Great, then we can move on. So answering your question, how Eurasian Bank of Development can help investors and states in transportation and logistics centers, and what projects are worth our money. So I wanted to orient everyone on our mission, and our mission is that we are created for cooperation with the market economy of our country. We're not talking about Russia and Kazakhstan. We're talking about other countries that are not the leaders in this market economy. And so we want to help to integrate the states, the countries. So Tajikistan is also a part of our bank as a participant. So our tools allow us to implement integration effect, to make our countries closer from the point of economy, to enhance the flow, the supplies flow, to use unique geographical locations. We are between Asia and Europe, to use transit potential. These questions, these issues, these aspects allow our bank to direct finances to such projects. In this regard, the bank is focusing on several directions, and one of them is the project that you've mentioned, Eurasian Transport Construction. Our analytics didn't sleep for many nights to build this map. They showed the projects that are still in plans. So the main project that connects Pakistan through Kazakhstan with Russia, and recently we've signed the agreement for that. We are planning to connect China, Kyrgyzstan, and Uzbekistan. And the projects that we are working on right now is the creation of the third customs service between Kazakhstan and China. And I will tell you more about it later. So all in all, our calculations show that when we are looking at this logistics map, and when we look at the system and when we use programming, it enhances the traffic in 40%. So with the international transport corridors will work efficiently and how they are supposed to work, then we can forecast the 15 or the increase of container cargo flow in 15 or 30 times. So when these corridors are going to start working again, I'm sure that it's not take so long. It will not take that long because we are working on the elimination of those limitations. And there is a huge work of certain associations and Eurasian Association to make certain corridors, transport corridors, to improve the situation. So this will allow to compete with marine transport, means of transport. And it's not a secret that the main cargo flow is between the continents goes through the marine means of transport. This figure is up to 95%. So if we focus on transport corridors on railway or marine means of transport, we have a lot of potential here, which can be helped, which can be supported by transport logistics centers that allow to regulate the cargo flow. Recently, I wanted to share with you an interesting index, Logistics Performance Index, which has been formed since 2007 by Central Bank. So there are certain directions here: customs infrastructure, supply organization, logistics services, tracking, and time limits. So for 16 years, the Global Bank is assessing and making this index. So in Russia, we've been on the we've come up for 11 places. We are higher in the list now. So we've improved infrastructure due to the policy of state. We invest a lot of money into infrastructure, and I'm talking about the Russian Federation. And concerning logistics services and organization of transactions of supplies, we are not leading in this index, but it says that it shows that other countries are developing faster than the Russian Federation. Now let's talk about the projects that we are participating in. So I would like to mention such projects as East and West project. These are projects in Kazakhstan and paid road in Russia called West Speed Diameter. We helped in modernizing the airport of Almaty. And now we are implementing, together with our trusted partner, we are implementing the construction of Taliati Bridge. which helps with logistics. So in total, the bank invested up to $900 million in these projects, only concerning the east and west corridor. So about the north and the south, we are updating the train system. We construct electrical trains in Kazakhstan, in Armenia, and we finance the construction of 15 vessels so that we could deliver products into Caspian Sea. So the bank spent more than $3 billion on these projects, and the total is more than $15 billion. So let's move on. A few words on the projects that we are focusing on right now. So we are thinking on the concept and developing. So these are Верхний Lars checkpoint, and we are working on a new transport logistics infrastructure, and I hope that soon we will be able to present these materials. So I'm sure many of you heard about the checkpoint Верхний Lars, the checkpoint between Georgia and Russia. So it is the connection, the point that connects Russia and Armenia, and Eurasian Association. So I know that we need transportation and logistics center, but having the problem with road infrastructure, we will try to help Russian and Armenian and Georgian drivers so that they could pass this checkpoint successfully and comfortably. And one more project that I mentioned at the beginning of my speech is the third checkpoint between Kazakhstan and Russia, the construction of it, and the construction of the railroad for 270 kilometers. We are planning the financing plan right now, and this will allow to enhance the possible potential of cargo flow between our countries in 2 times through Kazakhstan. Because now, what my colleagues mentioned, there is a lack of infrastructure. In 2 years, the paradigm has changed completely, and all the flows have changed. So, in the third project that I wanted to mention, the road north and south, new highway, alternative highway that uses new modern technologies, and my colleagues and the whole bank is helping to launch this project using the paid highways. And also, I wanted to say that now we are working in the Republic of Bashkortostan, actively working. Now we have 2 projects, and they are both connected with the construction of Transportation and Logistics Center in the Republic of Bashkortostan. One project that I enjoy working on is the project with the autonomous non-profit organization of the Republic of Bashkortostan. They applied for financing, and I think that soon they are going to start conceptual working and construction of logistics center of the Republic of Bashkortostan, which aimed at the trans-border cargo flow. And as my colleague mentioned, there are 7 points that you should pay attention to. Thank you very much for this information that you provided. So I have my timing, and thank you very much. I criticize a lot Northern Ossetia because there are some logistics difficulties, and I analyze Verkhney Lars checkpoint logistics and the cargoes going there. And we cannot we cannot keep products on each of the sides. We know the specifics of the Russian roads in winter, and in Georgia there is a hub and there is a great road of good quality that is going to work soon. And Ossetia is a difficult region where it is hard to develop. And I have an opinion, and I support you. I support your words. And one more issue that we're talking about is the Transportation and Logistics Center in the Republic of Bashkortostan. Let me remind you that last year in Moscow, there was a meeting of the Republic of Bashkortostan and the Eurasian Bank of Development, where I declared to support the Transportation Logistics Center construction. But still, nothing's changed, unfortunately. And we see a lot of ideas from our entrepreneurs, and let me remind you that we assess any project. You can send us your projects, and we will give you the feedback for free. So we can let you know if your project is possible to get the investments from the government. I haven't saw any models from the Republic of Bashkortostan concerning the correct model with risks, with feedback, and we just need to consider, to calculate. But now we don't have any statistics, so let's move on forward. And of course, we have 2 online speakers. We are off the timing, but I hope that we will hear these speakers. So Vladimir Pribish, the Director for Strategy and Development of Dealer Management Company. So what do you think about the Republic? And please stick to 5 minutes time limit. Okay, we can see you.
But we cannot hear you. Oh, yes, we can hear you. Finally, good. We give floor to you. You see the presentation, don't you? No presentation so far. Now we can see it. Good. Please welcome. Yeah, logistics center, the driver of increase of the export potential of the region. And in these 5 minutes, I'll cover 3 topics. First, let me show you the trends in the international trade supported by the logistics. Second of all, let me tell you about the plans on the infrastructure and its development.
что мы делаем, над чем мы работаем и что следует ожидать.
3. What we are doing and what we are responsible for. Okay, so Nikolai has
Уже рассказал о группе и трансконтейнере.
spoken about the group, and Transcontainer is part of Delo development group. We have the port segment, forwarding, and railroad, etc. So we are the biggest container integrated operator in Russia, with a share of market 30 to 40% in different segments.
Несмотря на санкции,
We're working everywhere, despite the sanctions, restrictions. The logistics goes on working.
о чем, вот, собственно, каковы ключевые тенденции, каковы ключевые результаты
What are the tendencies? What are the key results
последнего года, там, даже полутора.
of the latest year,
За
year and a half?
22 за 23 год
22, 23, the streams have changed significantly.
в целом
Back in the day,
Европа, Северная Америка, Латинская Америка,
North America, Europe, many other countries showed big transportation streams, but lately,
с чем мы, или, скажем так, что мы констатируем.
what can we see? North America,
И, в общем, все, что на Западе
everything which is in the West,
объемов перевозок
is dropping
от 30 до 80%
30 to 80%.
по причинах.
I'll tell you about the reasons. At that
Кратный рост на Ближний Восток,
doubled growth in the Middle East,
Восток Дальний и Восточную Азию,
significant increase in Far East, Eastern Asia,
Южную Азию, Индию, Пакистан, Бангладеш.
a small drop in Southern Asia and
Фактор, конечно,
Africa,
знаете,
ASEAN countries, etc. In the first stage, the logistics stopped
ввиду ухода или прекращения
due to
транспортно-логистических компаний.
the transport logistics companies stopping working. And now one of the key factors or barriers is
Стоимость логистики
the price of the logistics
в ключевые регионы. Вот, и, собственно,
in the key regions.
в перспективах развития тех или иных
Speaking of the perspectives for development of the corridors, we need to provide the following. First,
коридора и мощностей на нем. Второе – это адекватная
the presence of the corridor,
себестоимость
sensible price, the raw price of the logistics. We analyzed where the products went from Bashkortostan, Tatarstan,
всего Уральского.
and the whole Ural Federal region.
Значимая часть продукции с высоким
Significant parts of the products
настроением
with high added value,
в Европу.
the machinery products, went to Europe.
Не скрою, это было действительно ударом
And that was
по отдельным сегментам.
a sucker punch for us
Прекратили
because
50 до 80% в объемах продаж. Вот.
the market simply shrinked
Видим существенный
in its sales. We can see significant growth
Ближний Восток.
in the East.
И как бы очевидно, что дайте я это
It's obvious. Let me skip this.
зачитаю только то,
Let
что
me read
сейчас очевидно есть
only what we see. We have deficiency and scarcity of
с
highway infrastructure. Next, plans for the development.
улица и
It's going to worsen back then.
сейчас магистральном
Even now,
дефиците
the infrastructure is scarce. The growth is planned for 65%, and the highway infrastructure in all the lengthy long-term programs for Russian railroads,
по развитию международных
seaports, the programs of development of international
транспортизированных грузов.
corridors. When we're talking about the container transportation, the growth is only planned for 23% all in all. And speaking of
Как делать?
what we should do and how we should do this,
Ряд решений
we have a range of solutions: infrastructurals, construction, technological construction. We are working with
контейнерных поездов
our colleagues to increase the length of the container trains,
поездами
the interval of movement, the so-called virtual link,
поездов там, и так далее.
the load of the trains, the length of the trains,
бесшовная документов на погранпереходах
processing the documents
и так далее.
in the checkpoints, in the transfer zones, in ports, etc. If we take a look at Moscow transport node,
Высоконагруженный индикатив,
it's indicative and highly
что будет в ближайшее
loaded,
наш
very busy, which shows what is going to be happening to the east.
доступ
The access
к дефицитным
to the
мощностям
scarce capacities of the railroad is
доступных мощностей и из эффективности работы.
created through the available
Российские железные дороги смотрят на
capacities. And the Russian railroads look at the network in general, at particular elements which are influencing the network in general.
эффективность работы транспорта,
The power and efficiency of transport and logistics centers is
дефицитных
determining the distribution of scarce orders and quotas on transportation throughout the international transport corridors.
управлений экспортом.
When we're talking about exports.
Понимая это и понимая долгосрочную
Through understanding of this and through understanding the long-term
трансконтейнера в лице Global Ports,
programs, we, as Transcontainer and Global Ports, are investing into development of transport and logistics network. We have more than 30 billion rubles of planned investment, increase of the capacity of the terminals for more than 50% from the existing numbers.
морские терминалы, там,
Sea terminals, investments of more than 100 million rubles. We understand where they will move, what their basics will be. We are ready to work together with the regions to promote these projects. I would recommend
коллег,
the colleagues who are doing the promotion of investments in Bashkortostan to be more active on attracting
участие в международных транспортных,
the participation in the international transport corridors, on
по примеру,
using the facilities, etc. Judging by the example of Sverdlovsk region, Primorsk region,
совокупные действия, совокупные
because all in all,
ставят это
having these conditions all together and performing those works all together, we are going to promote
фундаментальную вещь.
the fundamental idea.
Дефицитная дешевая инфраструктура
The proficiency, cheap infrastructure will help the exports to grow its volumes. Thank you.
Один за другим предложения,
You can see we have so many offers from Bashkortostan.
возможность.
Just use the window of opportunity, right? Let's listen
Ту же самую вопросу, как вы видите, в частности, в
to
Башкортостане,
our next speaker,
ТЛЦ, и рассказать все-таки
Mr. Zhuzhgov.
терминально-складской инфраструктуре.
Could you please answer the same questions?
Вы с нами
You're with us, right? Oh, we can see you. That's good.
слышим.
Hello, dear colleagues. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really grateful to the speakers. I heard lots of interesting and new things for myself, including the questions and matters which were asked to the Russian Railroad Company. You see the presentation? Nope. Yes. Dear colleagues, in order for us to have some understanding, so how we see the situation, Russian Railroad is represented across the whole network of the Russian Railroad Company. More than 700 cargo terminals are located on across 85 regions of the Russian Federation. All the terminals are located in the city infrastructure or near big cities of Russia. I have to mention that the strategy of the development of our terminal and the warehouse complex is the entrance point for SMEs. We are the window through which The clients are getting into our infrastructure. We found our niche. We are working as the city terminals, which allows us to satisfy the demands of SMEs, and 80% of business and clients are just regular people, the clients of SMEs in particular. When we're talking about Kuibyshev Railroad, 37 cargo terminals, 7 terminals in Bashkortostan, and I would like to highlight that for 2 years we have been developing the service which is called Mobile Brigades. We are coming to any location. We are ready to organize the terminal processing of the cargoes and reloading on each station where we have the railway tracks, etc. So, and we are systemically buying the mobile lifting equipment. We expand our competencies, and in the recent 2 years, the requests to get to the locations where we are absent has grown by a factor of 3. We have basic services for storage and processing, and we also provide other services. We wash the rolling stock. We have remote DCs. We form the container trains, and we do the processing of all the documents for the client. We make everything for the client to work with us through one entrance point. We have the flagman key service, the expediter, the forwarder system. The central directorate is doing this work, and the forwarding is the task for the people who have never been with the company to enter, to write the power of attorney to the representative office, and then to send the goods, to accept the goods, without any additional entrances to any other offices of the Russian railways. We get feedback on the constant basis. What has to be changed, what should be developed, etc. Out of the latest things, we introduced the zero VAT for the tariff, as well as, so usually it was the main tariff which we had VAT less, and now it's covering the loading and unloading, all the additional services, etc. All the documents signed with digital signature, and the principle of one entrance point is basically cashless payments. The client comes, pays all the services, and after that, they get the cargo on the end point. Through this feedback, we understand that we need to develop the competences in our employees when working with customs cargoes. And now we perform the customs transits in our terminals. This is very demanded in the Republic of Bashkortostan in particular. Our flagman terminal in the Republic of Bashkortostan is Steriltamak Cargo Yard. We buy new equipment there, we fix the infrastructure, renovate it, and develop the service. You can see the results in the slide. The volume of transportation of containers, both inbound and outbound, increased by 158%. And we can see the tendency and trends for growth among everything else. So we are comparing it to year 2022, but this dynamic pertains for about 3 years. As an example, Steriltamak. We have container trains there for our big clients. The main client is Bashkir Soda Company. We send goods to Novorossiysk, well Logistics, which sends goods to China, CMAX. We have oils there. And the new project is RZD business activity, we send sugar to Almaty, Kazakhstan. 7 cargo terminals through Republic of Bashkortostan. Chernikovka terminal, we've mentioned it on and on today. We have warehousing there and the overweight cargo locations. We process the oversized goods there to Imazi, and if we have a request from the clients, we can create DCs on these terminals. And when we have the application from the clients, we use the modern system to receive the goods. Without the clients being present, we form the batches and send them to their locations. We increase our fleet on and on. We do the services on the first and last mile. Sterlitamak, 17 units of automated vehicles, containers for our clients. Ladies and gentlemen, since we're pressed on time, I would like to say that all of our additional services are listed on the website. RZD Cargo. You can see what platforms exist. You can see the prices and the account of the customer. You can do the calculation for provision of any service. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Zhuzhgov. Thank you for being so sustainable. I think everybody else has already finished, but honestly, everything is so interesting, so intriguing. All the participants of the discussion have expressed their constructive solutions, offers, and decisions. And considering the time lag, all of you will receive the presentation. We have the broadcast online. It's recorded. If you have questions to anybody, we can dedicate 5 minutes to that.
Давайте. Ну, просто у нас же ВКС еще участники.
My name is Vyacheslav, company Pilot Transmash. I wanted to ask, it looks like a party assembly. Where did you learn that logistics? What books did you read? Maybe we produce containers. Please name at least one country that grew through the railroad delivery. I will direct the question to you. So these machines were produced in Stерлитамак city. Have you heard of it? All this line that I'm showing you was produced there. And the question is, it is impossible to develop the economy of our country. We should say to Vladimir Putin, why did he come to China? So the question to you, Inna, please tell me how many enterprises produce the machines that are going on the territory of Russia? 0. Now we have it.
Уже сейчас делают за последние годы.
Мы покупали в Абакане недавно контейнеры.
Тогда другой вопрос. А вот эти рефрижераторные секции кто делает у нас?
Refrigerators. Who is making those?
Маш делает несколько лет.
Uralvagon Marsh has been doing it.
Жить из Башкирии,
Okay, are we ready to offer it from Bashkortostan?
начать производить.
Maybe we should produce them together.
Никакой рекламы.
У нас
No ads whatsoever, no.
есть
Well, we're talking about the dry land warehouse.
всех участников. У нас
5 minutes for each participant.
есть еще вопросы?
For all participants, not each. Any more questions? My last name is Sagitov. Ufimsky Park. We are a private company. We are constructing the logistics center. Whether it's going to be dry or not, I don't know. The question is to a person from Tchaikovsky. You've been through what we are going to be through. How did you convince the financing organization that you have the potential capacity? What did you provide to prove that your potential is sufficient in order for bank or whoever who was financing you, a private company, to give you the money? This is the question to you. And the question to you, you're saying that you've been expertising the projects for quite a while. What do you know about a TAP project from Bashkortostan? Nothing. Okay, let me ask the following question. Our dear colleagues who have been online, you asked them the questions and they never answered them. Here's the question.
Требования к проекту.
Requirements to the projects. Yeah, exactly. Eurasian Bank never told about the requirements to the projects, how to implement those projects, etc. Nothing whatsoever. Thank you.
Давайте я отвечу. Отвечу поставленное на
So let me answer the question. We used the concept of a different type. It is not that popular right now because our colleagues are sticking to big cities. Despite the railroad, we considered this topic from the different point of view. So on the territory between 4 regions, we understand that there are many cargo. There is a cargo capacity and potential, and SMEs will find 10 or 5 containers from different regions. They will gather as a group to send the goods. It's a hard concept, it's a hard approach, and today we are working with mono cargos, and currently we weren't able to convince the logistic companies to make this regular service as public and in some of direction where we can see the perspectives. Today we weren't able to do that. So the financing, we provided financing from our private services, and it was the procurement. So conceptually, no one financed us. Thank you very much to all the participants. Those questions that you have, the requirements for projects, for transport and logistics center, we are ready to share with the requirements for projects. We have a group, assessment group, so please feel free to ask, and we are ready to provide you with this information. And we are always confidential of any initiative. And if you give us the project, you will see the types of the ways of our assessment. And this is the great approach to do so. So when I always consider the budget and certain things, I consider certain things that the state considers, and we make it effective. And the colleagues already mentioned it, that the bad quality assessment leads to bad results. And this, thank you very much, dear colleagues, that you expressed this idea. We cannot see the roads from Moscow. And when the developers are working online, when we worked for the Uralia concept, we visited the platform, the project, so that because we cannot see the results from Moscow.
Can you please, in general words, outline the draft, the schedule of financing, what we can get? Vladimir Vladimirovich, are you here? Yes, I'm here.
3 пункта.
So we need 3 criteria of choosing the Eurasian Bank. I have already mentioned, and Andrei Nikolaevich has already mentioned also, first of all, you need to have a freight basis in order to confirm the economic effectiveness of this project. And apart from that, it is also essential to remember that the mission of our bank is integrational effect. It's the type of effect that provides the strengthening of the ties between the representatives of our banks as Belarus, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan. So those projects which allow us to expand the outflow of goods, of trade, will get into our strategy. And after that, we have only financial story here. We are better than some commercial banks because in our regulation, we see that it's one of the objectives of our bank. What about the level? What about the quality? It's commercial data that I would share with you only if we'll reach the mutual conditions for cooperation. Thank you very much. We also have some peculiarities in currency. We usually provide loans in rubles. What about yuans? No, we're not ready for that.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much.
Давайте завершим.
So let's sum up. Let's finish our conversation. You can get all the contacts. We are staying in contact. We are ready to expand. If there are any questions, no. Thank you very much for the open discussion, what we conducted right now for the speakers, for their speeches and also their regards, and the participants for nice questions. I hope that within a year, when we meet here in Bashkortostan, the concept of the dry port in Bashkortostan would be outlined. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.